In this episode, I have a TRASHCAN DAP1 eBay special shipped in that doesn't play. Let's check it out. One of the ones that goes all sticky, and this one here is actually not as sticky as most of them I've seen. The tape compartment cover is, but the rest of it is actually, it's not as bad as I've seen, which has been horrible on a lot of them. So first things first, let's observe what it does when I put a tape in. Well, it sounds like a belt for starters. So let's oh, the head drum's stuck. Okay, so the head drum is stuck on this one. It won't turn. Whether it's going to be unstickable or whether it's just shot, I guess we'll find out when I get this one apart. So let's take the top cover off. I'm certainly seeing my share of DAT recorders lately. Not that I mind, because DAT was one of my favorite tape formats. In fact, it was really the only tape format I really liked. I don't like cassettes. I hate them. I think they're tacky little plastic things that sound pathetic. I don't have much more respect for a reel-to-reel, other than the fact that reel-to-reel looks kind of cool with the reels turning. You can sit there and watch it. I guess if you're stoned, that might help, although I wouldn't know anything about that. But I understand that if you're under the influence, that you can be amused at watching things turn around forever. Maybe that's why vinyls become so popular as of late, because someone who's stoned can just sit there and watch the record revolve. I think the Beatles talked about that once with their album Revolver, because it revolves on the turntable, right? Pretty sure I heard a John Lennon interview about that eons ago, and he was quite the stoner. There's two of them in the bottom I gotta take out. Just like that. So the head drum itself is, well, it's seized. Let's see if I can actually turn it. I'm going to pull the mechanism out, just see if it's stuck on the bottom. This one may not be repairable, because good luck finding a drum for one of these machines. As I say, I like the DAT format. It's one of my favorite tape formats because of the sound quality. So the problem with DAT, and one of the reasons I caution people who are enthusiastic wanting to buy a DAT machine. Everybody I've talked to that wants to buy a DAT machine say, oh, I want to buy a DAT, but they're so expensive. And I tell them the pitfalls. Well, you got a machine that is obsolete. They haven't made them since 2005, and they haven't made parts for them since 2005. So, almost 20 years since they manufactured parts. Like a VCR, these are mechanical devices with a lot of moving parts, namely a spinning head drum that does have a limited life. And if you want to buy a DAT machine, by all means buy one, but they are not worth what people are asking for a lot of them. People are asking hundreds of dollars for these machines, and you know, I would myself put a price on a machine like this at about $20. In fact, I've other than, and I've mentioned this before, other than the first DAT machine that I ever bought, which was back in the 90s, I guess it was, when they were still current. I bought one at wholesale cost, but every other DAT machine that I own, I've picked up for a song, like $20. DA40 is $20, or got them for free. I'm going to pull the bottom of the motor off here. I want to see if there's anything sticking on the bottom of the motor. This one needs a belt, but the belt is the least of our worries right now. Because if the motor is not going to turn, if the bearing is seized up, I just want to see if there's something stuck in here, which there doesn't appear to be anything on here. I want to see if there was anything, any debris or anything in here, but you see this is seized up. So this piece is just the FG sensor, just a coil and a Hall effect that detects the rotation of the motor and the speed from this magnet that's spinning around. This is the magnet here that generates the frequency generator, and then there's two little magnets on the side here. You'll see them right down here. Right, those are the pulse generator. So as they fly around and they pass over this Hall effect device, they generate a pulse which tells the unit when to switch heads. But it's seized up somewhere else. It's nothing that got into the bottom here. Could be something in between the magnet and the actual stator, which is above this, which we can't get that apart. If I turn this enough, maybe I can free it up to see if I can free it up enough that it'll spin. I think it's the bearing is stuck, is what it is. It's a ball bearing, I'm sure, on these ones. And I'm sure just from sitting around over all the years, it's just got stuck. So it's turning a little freer now. I couldn't send this out and expect it's going to last, but let's just see whether we can actually get the thing to play. Probably shouldn't do this though, because if I can make it play, it may end up back on the market and someone else would just be getting himself a headache. I don't think I'm going to have much luck anyway. It's not really freeing up. It's turning a little easier than it was, but it's not turning anywhere near as easy as it needs to turn in order to spin up to 2000 RPM. As soon as it starts to free up a bit and then it binds. Hey, it's either the bearing, it could be the rotary transformer as well. They have been known for the glue that holds the wires down into the slots. Because the rotary transformer, if you remember the VCR video that I did, which had the rotary transformer, had failed, the glue that holds the wires in place deteriorates and breaks free, and then the wires can ride out of the tracks and they get ground up in between the moving and non-moving surface of the rotary transformer, and that could very well be what's happened, because you can hear like something rubbing. So it could very well be that it's the rotary transformer that's shot on this one. Very good possibility. My car DAT, I had a car DAT years and years ago, and it was a belt drive that drove the head drum, but the belt was shot, of course, naturally, but the head drum was also seized as well, and on that it was the either the bearing or the rotary transformer. I never did fix it because I couldn't make the head spin. At least not fast enough to read a tape. But this is sticking again, so I don't think we're going to have any luck on this one. So I think at this point I'm just going to call this one a write-off and let the fellow know that owns it that this one here is one that is a lost cause. I actually have one of his other decks here. The DA30 Mark II is owned by the same fellow. So he sent me this one and figured I could fix them both and send them back at the same time in the same box, but there's not really much point in shipping this one back at this point, because it's just, he's going to be paying the postage to get something back that's not working. But that will be his choice. But anyways, you can see it's not going to turn. There's no way that this is going to come free. The only solution would be to change the drum, and that would be cost prohibitive for something like this. Oh well, we tried. But the only thing I haven't tried is putting heat on it. I'll do that now. I'll put some heat on the drum itself and see whether heating it up will free it up. I don't think so. Nope. This one here is going to become a parts donor, I'm afraid. It's got parts in it that could be salvageable, such as the pinch roller. The pinch roller and the tape hubs, the little clutches here, they would be usable. But other than that, this thing is this one's a lost cause. Let's throw it back together and break the bad news to the owner. I'm 0 for 2 today. The last thing I worked on was a CD player, which you guys have probably seen the video by now, but got a weak laser. Well, there's no problem changing that out. Let's solve that problem, but it was still stopping, and of course, as we found out, the one of the motors itself is got a problem, and it blew the output, or blew the motor drive IC just from shorting out when it was playing. It just, right in the middle of playing, it just stopped and stopped spinning. And when I checked it, well, the IC is getting hot as fire, so put the thermal camera on it. It was lit up like a Christmas tree. And it was warm to the touch too. I kind of exaggerated. I said it was hot as fire when I touched it. It wasn't hot as fire. It was slightly warm to the touch, but that was enough to get me to drag out the thermal camera, and the thermal camera told the story that it was lit up like a Christmas tree. It was hot as fire on the thermal camera. It stood out like a sore thumb. Anyway, throw this mechanism back here and throw the top on this one and break the bad news to the owner of it. Here's a little tip when you're dealing with non-magnetic screws. Wrap a piece of tape around the end of your screwdriver so that you can keep the screws in the bit, so you don't drop them into the mechanism while you're trying to thread them in. Kind of a dumb design, you know, non-magnetic screws, really? When you're trying to load screws down inside a mechanism like this, where you've got to place them in with a screwdriver, and if they're not magnetic, it's going to be kind of tough to get them down where they need to go. Not all of these use non-magnetic screws either, because I've had some which have had magnetic screws, but this one has non-magnetic screws in it. Okay, mechanism's back in place. Throw the top cover on. Okay, I guess that about does it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.